We begin today the Gemara at the Mishnah on Daf Nun Daled Amud Beis towards the bottom of the Yom. Zok Teilige Mishnah, continuing the halachas of the Karbonis. Zevochim Shalmei Tzibur Vashamais. So the Karbonis that are Shalmei Tzibur. What's a shlomim that's brought by the Tzibur? This is on Shavuos, when they brought the Shtei Alechem. Together with the Shtei Alechem, there was also two kvasim, two lambs that are shlomim Shalmei Tzibur. And also the Ashamais. A carbon Asham is brought in different circumstances. The Mishnah lists them. Eluhain, Alien Ashamis, Asham Gzelois. If a person stole, he had a pekadon, actually, a deposit, that he denied having it, he swore falsely, and then he admitted. That's one case where you have to bring a carbon Asham for this. Asham Elois, a person misused hektish, so you have to pay back and for the fifth as well, and then bring an Asham. Asham Shivcha Charufa, in a case where there was a Shivcha Kananis, a non-Jewish maidservant that was destined to be married to an Eved Ivri, and this person had a relation with her. Asham Nazir, by a Nazir that became Tomei in the middle of his Naziris, so he has to bring a carbon Asham. And finally, or one more, actually two more, that is, Asham Mitzaira, the carbon Asham when a Mitzaira completes the time of his Mitzaira and he's Mitzaira himself, and the Asham Toli, a person that did an Aveda, but actually it's not sure. There was a case of a Chiyuv of a Kodesh, let's say eating forbidden fats. And there was something that's permitted, something that's forbidden in front of him, and he's not sure which one he ate. So until he figures that out, and he brings a Chatos, you have to bring an Asham Toli. So all these Karbanis, Chitasam Batzafin, they are also Kachim, and they're shechted only on the tzafin of the Azara, and the Kibul Dama Bichlisharis Batzafin, and the blood is received in the tzafin, and the Damatan Shtematan Shein Arba. They're sprayed on the Mizbeach, 2, which is 4, as we learned about this before. It's sprayed on 2 corners of the Mizbeach, diagonally across each other, and it's splashed on the 2 sides of the corner, that it's like 4. And you eat these karbanis only inside the curtains. This lashon klayim is what it was by the Mishkan, when there was curtains, but it means also by the Beis HaMikdash, inside the Azara, which is the halach of kachim kachim. The zichrei kohona, the kayanim eat from these karbanis, only the males, not the neshem, b'neim, avdeim, only the zecharim. As it says in the pasuk by the Asham, it says it clearly. The Gemara is going to learn out also beneged to the shlamim. B'chol machal, you can eat it however you wish, unlike the carbon pesach that must be roasted. L'yayim v'layla, for one day and one night, at chatzais, only until chatzais. This is the gzeira of Chachamim, that to be machik from an Aveda, you could only eat until chatzais. So the Gemara Minal on the Bayit Sofin regarding the Shalmei Tzibur. How do I know that it has to be on Sofin? By the Asham, over there it says clearly, we learned that, the Gemara learned that already before, but regarding the Shalmei Tzibur, how do I know that it must be on the Tzofim? The Tani Rabba Barav Chona Kamei Derove. So he said, if you look there in the pasuk by the carbon on Shavuos, where it says the Shalmei Tzibur, how does the pasuk begin? Vasisem Seir Izem Echod Lachatos. You bring on Shavuos a Chatos, and then in the continuation of the pasuk, it says that there's also Ushnei Kvasam B'nei Shana L'Zavach Shlamim. So on the same pasuk, it mentions the Chatos and the Shlamim. So I make a hekesh, I compare them. Ma Chatos B'Tzofim. Just like a carbon Chatos must be shechted on the Tzofim, Av Shalmei Tzibur B'Tzofim. The Shalmei Tzibur also must be on the Tzofim. Amalei Rav asks on this source, how can you learn from here? From where do we know that the Chatas has to be on the Tzofim? That's also learned with a Hekish from the Oila. Now we have the rule, as we learned before in this Pedic, Dava, Halamid beHekish. If you only know a din, by Kachim that is, if you know a din based on a Hekish, Chayzer Malamed beHekish, could you then go and learn it with a secondary Hekish? So since you know the dinner of Tzofim by Chatas only with a Hekish from the Oila, how could you then make now another Hekish from the Chatas to the Shlamim? Answers the Gemara. So Elo, there's a different source. Midetani Rav Mari Berei Rav Kahana. It says in the pasuk that in the beginning of the pasuk there is V'yom Simchaschem V'mayadechem, and then it says further Al Oilei Seichem Val Zivchei Shalmeichem. And in that pasuk, what does it speak about? Blowing with the trumpet. So Sikatem B'Chatzaitzris. So if it speaks about Chatzaitzris by Karbanis, and it says here shlamim, it's not referring to a shlamim that an individual brings, because there's no blowing with chatzaitzris. It's referring to this Shalmei Tzibur on Shavuos, and therefore this chatzaitzris. And it says the Oila and the shlamim together in the pasuk. Ma Oila kachim kachim. So just like the Oila is kachim kachim, it's totally burnt on the mizbeach. Av zivche Shalmei Tzibur is kachim kachim as well. And Ma Oila b'tzafim. So just like the oile, it's shechted and the blood is received only on the tzafen. Av zivche shal mitzibur is betzafen. That's the source. It's directly to oila, where it clearly says in the Torah that it has to be betzafen. Says the Gemara. So elo hekesha kamo lamai also. The hekesh that we saw in the pasuk before, where it says the chatos together with the shalmei tzibur, what is that hekesh coming to teach? It can't be teaching the din of tzafin. So what is that hekesh for? And says the Gemara, it's teaching ki chatos, that we compare the shalmei tzibur to the chatos. Just like by the chatas, the Torah clearly says that it only is eaten by the kainim. But which kainim? The zecharim of the kainim. It says a kainim machata isa, the kain that is spraying the blood. He eats from it. Av zivche shalmi tzibur is lezichrei kohana. So to shalmi tzibur, only the zecharim can eat it. So that's the source of the other din that the Mishnah said. Zichrei, only the zichrei kohana. So Abaye asks on this hekesh that if you learn it out the hekesh this way, if so, why didn't you make a similar hekesh gabi ayol nozer, by the ayol that the nozer has to bring when a nozer completes his nazirus? So one of the karbanos that he has to bring is a ram, which is also brought as a shlomim. So we see in the pasuk over here a hekesh, because it says in the same pasuk vehikriv es karbanoi lashem keves ben shnasei tamim mechad la'ayla. He's bringing a lamb for an oila. The kaf sachas b'shnasa tmimo lachatos, another lamb, a she lamb that's brought for a chatos, and then v'ayalecha tamim l'shlamim, and then the ram that's brought as a shlamim. So over here as well in this pasuk, are we going to compare them? Hachanami neime, should we say the kishi akasav lachatos, that we compare this ram that's brought as a shlamim by the ayal nazir to the chatos as well, and we're going to say ma chatos eiran acheles ela lezichrei kohona. Just like the chatos, you could only the zecharim of the kainim could eat from it. Af ayal nazir nami eina nechal el zichrei kohuna. Should I make a hekesh to say that the ayal of the nazir could also be eaten only by the zecharim of the kainim? But that's not the halacha. This ayal of the nazir is not in the category of shalmi tzibur. It's a shlamim that an individual is bringing, and it's actually the next mishnah. Atoyda ve'el nazir, who could eat it? Over there it says nechal lekainim leneshayim levneim ulavdeim. Well, if we're making this hekesh for between the shalmei tzibur to the chatos, because in the pasuk it says it together, so then that should be a similar hekesh regarding the ayal nazir and the chatos as well, which is in the same pasuk. So the Gemara answers.
What's the difference between the Asham nazir and the ayal nazir?
The Asham nazir was brought when the nazir became tomei in middle of his nazirus, and as carbon asham that he has to bring to begin his nazirus again. The ayal nazir is when he completes his nazirus. So the Gemara answers, Hachi hashta. How do you compare these two things? Over here, there's a clear indication of the pasuk not to compare the shlomim of the ayal nazir to the chatas, because hasam kivin dichsev v'lakach hakayim. It says roya b'shelim and ayal. Since over here by the ayal nazir, the pasuk says that what do you do with the meat of this carbon? So you take the zroya, which is the foreleg of the animal, and it's you cook it, and that you give to the kayin to eat. Right, so there's not all of the parts of this ayal nazir goes to the kayin. The kayin has this zroya b'sheila. That's actually besides also another part, the chazeh and the shaik. It goes to the kayin as well. But what does that mean? The klal, the kule baila machlile. So that means that otherwise the rest of the meat, who gets it? The owner of the nazir, the owner of the carbon. He's the one that eats the rest of the carbon. So how could you say that I'm going to make a hekesh to the chatos? By the chatos, the owner doesn't get any of the meat of the carbon. It only goes to the kayin, and only the zechanim of the kayinim. So you can't make a hekesh from there to the carbon of the shlamim by the ayal nazir, that it should be only zichrei kohona. I see clearly that the owner eats from the carbon as well. Says the Gemara, but zroya b'sheila miya lo l'sachal elo l'zichrei kohona. True, there are meat from the carbon of the ayal nazir that goes to the owner, to the nazir. But how about that part that the Torah says that goes to the kayin compared to the chatas? Regarding that it only goes to the zecharim, the kayinim, and he can't give it to his family to eat. So kashya, this is a question. We should make that hekesh from the chatas to the shlamim. Okay, so in other words, the Gemara on one. And according to this, believes this as a question. But then the Gemara says, if you want, I can answer and say that there is a lashon in the pasuk that indicates that you should not make this hekesh from the chatos to the ayal nazir. Why? Because kache ikri. Regarding the ayal nazir, the Torah refers to it as kache, which means it's only one level of kachim kalim. Kache kachim lo yikri, but it's not referred to as kache kachim. So therefore you can't, since the Torah clearly refers to the carbon of the Ayal Nazir just as Kodesh. The version of the pasuk over there, it says that Lakach HaKayin Kodesh. It's only referred to as Kodesh, but not Kachi Kachim, so therefore you can't make a Hekesh from the Ayal Nazir to the Chatas, which is Kachi Kachim. As opposed to the Shalmei Tzibur that was brought before, that we do make a Hekesh to the to Chatas. So Rashi here clarifies over there by the Shalmei Tzibur, it actually does not say in the pasuk the term of Kachi Kachim either. So how are we making a Hekesh? So Rashi says because over there it says in the lashon of the pasuk Kodesh Lashem, or Kodesh Yul Hashem Lakayin. So when it says Kodesh Lashem, it's like the word Lashem. It's like it says Kachi Kachim, and therefore I compare the Shalmei Tzibur to the Chatas. But the Ayal Nazir it does not say that expression Lashem, so therefore I don't compare the Ayal Nazir to the Kachi Kachim. Says the Gemara, so ve'ela l'may halchasei iskish. So if so, there's an indication not to make this hekesh. So why does the Torah put him in the same pasuk? There is a hekesh here. What is the hekesh for? So Rav explains the hekesh is actually in the opposite direction. We're not comparing the Ayal Nazir to the Chatas in the pasuk. We're comparing the Chatas to the Ayal Nazir. And to teach me she'im gilach al echad mishlashtan yatsa, that by the Nazir when he completes his Naziris, so the pasuk here is saying that he has to bring 3 different karbanas. There's the Ayla, Chatas, and then the Ayal Nazir, which is the Shlomim. But the pasuk here is saying, just like Benegay to the Shlomim that he brings, if he only brings this Shlomim alone, that will qualify. And Rashi brings out that this is learned from the Psukim, that you see there that the Ikir is that carbon Shlomim. Because by the Nazir, what is done with the Nazir? He has to shave all the hairs off his head, and then you take actually from that here, and in this pot that is cooking this zroya b'sheila from this aisle, you have to place the hairs under that pot to be burnt there. Okay, so therefore, it says there that he has to cut his hair Pesach Hayal Mayid. It doesn't mean literally Pesach Hayal Mayid, but it means that this is the main thing that has to be done in order for him to complete his Naziris, that he has this carbon that will cook and burn the hair in it. So just like it is Benegay to the carbon Shlomim, that if you only bring the Shlomim, that completes his Naziris, even if he didn't bring the Chatas and the Ayla. So we compare now from the Ayal Nazir to the Chatas and the Ayla, that if you brought only the Chatas or only the Ayla, that will also be the Yevet complete his Naziris. So the Hekesh is the other way around, from the Ayal Nazir to the Chatas. Not a Hekesh from the Chatas to the Ayal Nazir, but the Hekesh is to learn out that just like by the Ayal Nazir, one carbon alone could complete the Naziris, the Chatas and the Ayla could complete the Naziris as well. The carbon taida that a person brings in the cases where he has to, with 4 different situations where a person has to bring a carbon taida, when he was saved from prison, from going away in the midbar, or chayayam, or from being healed when he was ill, and va'ayal nazir that we just spoke about, by the completion of the naziris. These are kachim kalim. They are on a different level, kachim kalim, and therefore shchitasam b'chol makam ba'azara. You can shecht it anywhere in the azara, not only tzafim. V'dam and ton shtem atan shein arba. And they have to be spread in the mizbech, also similar twice, which is really 4. And you can eat it not only inside the Azara, or not only in the Harabayis, but you can eat it in the entire city of Yerushalayim. And it's eaten for any Yid, and for any way you want to eat it. And you eat it for a day and night until Chatzais. And this is the Gzeira of Chazal, only until Chatzais. Now, Hamura Mehem, there's the portion of the carbon that's not belonging to the owner, but you have to separate. You have to separate from them and give for the Kainim. So those portions that are separated to give for the Kainim, so Rashi brings by the Taida, you separate the Chazan, the Shaik, or the Zroya as mentioned before, or there's also the breads actually that are brought together with the carbon Taida. From each one of there's the 40 breads. You have to separate one from each one of them to give for the kainim. So what you separate is kayetze ben, as the same halacha as well, in the timing that you can eat it, and the place that you can eat it. But elo shahamuram nechal lekainim u'neshayim u'levneim u'lavdeim. You separate, has to be separated, and you don't eat it by the owner. This is separated, and you give it for the kayin, and that could be for neshayim as well, as it says clearly in the pasuk, ata u'vnecha u'vneisecha.
Is this like a Sudat Hoda'ah?
This has been a gate to the Taida, yes. Tana Rabbanon, so we learned in the Braise, es chazeyat nufa, es sheikat rumet teichlu b'mokim tohir. So here the pasuk describes, this is actually a pasuk that it says on Parsha Shmini, when they brought the karbanis, when they inaugurated the Mishkan, and one of the karbanis that was brought there was a shlamim as well. And regarding this shlamim, it says that they should eat it in a mokim tahir, in a pure place. Now, what's unique about this pasuk is it doesn't say, like it says there before, b'mokim kadosh, in a holy place. It says b'mokim tahir, which is not like kadosh, it's a level down. So why is the Torah changing the lashon regarding a shlamim that it's only tahir? Other karbanis are eaten in a place that are tamei, that the pasuk here is using the term of tahir. So the answer is no. Elo tahir, tahir over here means miklal shuhu tamei. Tahir means that there is somebody that's tamei that could be there. And again, the reason is, like I said, because it uses the term tahir and not the term kadosh. What does this mean? What kind of a place is this? Tahir mitumas mitzaira. It's a place where a mitzaira may not enter. A mitzaira has to be sent out of all three machnes. Just like when the Yidden war in the Midbar, they were divided into three machnes. There's the machne Shechina, the place where the Mishkan is. Surrounding that was the machne Levia, where the Levium and Moshe Rabbeinu camped around the Mishkan. So in machne Levia, even a Tami mace, or even a mace himself, is allowed to be in machne Levia. What's the proof of this? Because Moshe Rabbeinu had the Aron of Yosef with him in the whole time that he was in the Midbar. And then surrounding the Machne Levia, there was the third category, which is Machne Yisrael, where all the Yidden camped. A Mitzayra has to be out of all three Machnes. A Zav has a mission that's also Tamei, has to be out of Machne Levia, but he could be a Machne Yisrael. So therefore here the Gemara is saying, when it says Toy, which is a level lower than Kadesh, it means that we're referring to a place where the Mitzayra may not be, but V'tamei Tumazav, but a person that's Tomei Tumazav could be there. Which machne is this? Zeh machne Yisrael. This refers to machne Yisrael. Now, so corresponding to this, you have also the Beis HaMikdash, which is the machne Shechina, and then you have the Harabayis, which is machne Levia, corresponding to machne Levia, and then you have the entire city of Yerushalayim, which is corresponding to machne Yisrael. Therefore, the pasuk Torah is saying that you could eat the carbon, a kachim kalim, in a place which is corresponding to Machne Yisrael, the entire city of Yerushalayim. Okay, but the Gemara asks on this, if you're saying that Torah means that it's a place which is not the ultimate holiness, it's not the Azara in the place of the Beis HaMikdash, but maybe it should be just one level down. Maybe it should be in the Harabayis. Who says that it means the entire Yerushalayim? Maybe it means that it's a place where even a zav may not enter, and but v'tamei mitumas meis, a place where a mace may enter, which, as I said, is the Har Habayis. How do you know that this includes even further the entire Yerushalayim? Machne Levia, which is the Har Habayis. Abayis says no, because there's two psukim here. The pasuk says v'achaltem oisa b'makim kadosh, that you have to eat b'makim kadosh. And that refers to kachim kachim. And here it uses not the term toir, it uses the term kadosh, and it says oisa. Only this is b'makim kadosh. So therefore I know now that oisa b'makim kadosh, v'lo yacheres b'makim kadosh. That it has to be in a makim kadosh, and not something else in a makim kadosh. So afkala machna levia. So that's already an indication that the kachim kalam is a level down, and therefore not in the azara only, but you can eat it even in machna levia, which means the harabayis. Then then there's another pasuk which is telling you this halacha a second time, mokim toir and not kadosh. So now afkana machne Yisrael. Therefore we go out down another level and we say that you can eat kachim kalim even in the entire city of Yerushalayim. This is how Abaye learned the drasha. Now Rava says you understand this drasha in a different way. When it says in the pasuk, "V'achalta ma'aseh b'makom kadosh," what do I learn from this? That this has to be in a makom kadosh, v'lo yacheres b'makom kadosh. But the other karbanis that are not on the level of kachim kachim, in other words, the kachim kalim, so they are not in the kachim kachim, they are not in the makom kadosh and the azara. So where do you have to eat this? Afka lagamri. That is saying, if you just would leave it at this pasuk, that's saying it does not have to be in a place that has any level of holiness at all. That would mean not the Beis HaMikdash and the Azara, not the Arabayis, not even Yerushalayim either. You can eat it wherever you want. But then, then the Torah writes that it has to be in a place that has a level of purity. So now, Machne Yisrael. So it brings it up a level. It has to be at least in Machne Yisrael, which means in Yerushalayim. That's how so the drasha here is we take it out completely. The miyut of Isa takes it out completely, and then Torah brings it in at least one level into Yerushalayim. But the Gemara asks on this drasha, maybe I should say when you're bringing it back in, Ayla Machne Levia. Don't bring it in only to say that it has to be in Yerushalayim. Maybe bring it back in 2 levels, that you have to go all the way to Machna Leviah, which means the Harabayis. So the Gemara answers, no, we're not going to say 2 levels. When it says Makim Toir, to bring it back in, that's, we say one place, which is Yerushalayim. Why should I say that you have to go all the way into the Harabayis? Only there you could eat it. So says the Gemara, well, if that's the case, when you make the miyut of Oisa, and you're saying that there's an exclusion, that Kachim Kalam does not have to be in the Azara, and you're taking it out, so you should say that it doesn't have to be in the Azara, but you go down a level, that it should be in the Harabayis. Why are you saying that when it says Oisa, that means that it could be anywhere, outside even of Yerushalayim? So therefore, this the drasha is hard to understand. We're saying that it doesn't have to be anywhere in any Makom Kodesh at all, and then we're bringing it back in one. How does this make sense? Another question. It already says in the pasuk clearly, that you cannot eat in any of your cities, and in that pasuk it mentions also, Ma'aser the Ganchav, it mentions also b'chaydais b'karcha, which refers to one of the karbanis that it's kachim kalim. So in the pasuk it clearly says that there's a lav not to eat kachim kalim in any of your cities, to take home the carbon to your home privately wherever you live. So when it says in the pasuk the miyut of oisa, you can't say that I would think that oisa means that you can take it wherever you want. And then when it says tahir, now you say bring it back into Yerushalayim. So therefore, Ela Machvarta Kadabaya. A clearer, a better pshat is like the way Abaya learned out this drasha regarding the Kachim Kalim. So all the other shlomims that a person brings, not the Shalmei Tzibur, and not only the Ayel Nazir, now we're talking about any regular shlomim that a person donates and brings as a carbon. It can be shechted anywhere in the Azara v'dam and arba. And you have to spray it on the Mizbeach twice, which is like 4. Anywhere in the city of Yerushalayim for any person, and any way you wish to eat it. And here, regarding this, you have a longer time to eat it. That's why this is counted separately. 2 days and a night. And then also what you separate to give to the Kainim also has a similar halacha. The Kain could share the meat that goes for the Kainim, for him and his wife and the entire family, and even these slaves as well, Vadim Kananim as well.
What's Kayetze Behem?
It has a similar halacha regarding the location where it could be eaten and the place where it could be eaten.
What's Behem?
Like the word Behem. Kayetze Behem, like Kayetze Behem, like the other meat that we just said that could be eaten by the Bailam, by the owner.
What's so special about these portions that they're different from the rest of the pieces of the
Muram, they're separated for the Kainim.
Okay.
Tanarabana, we learned in Abraise. So here it's going to bring us the source. From where do I know that the Kachim Kalim could be shechted and you receive the blood anywhere in the Azara? So it says in the pasuk 3 times by Shlomim, v'shachtu Pesach Hayel Mayit. 1 time. Again it says v'shachtu Yisrael Lifnei Hayel Mayit. And a 3rd time v'shachtu Yisrael Lifnei Hayel Mayit. Why does it say it all these times in the location where you shech the carbon of Shlomim? Lahachshir eskal aruchais b'kachim kalim. It's coming to say that you could shech the kachim kalim in any of the directions of the Azara. Definitely, you could shech the kachim kalim in the north of the Azara. Because if the kachim shlei huchshuru b'chal aruchais, you cannot shecht in all areas of the Azara, but huchshuru b'tzafim. You could shecht them in the tzafim, kachim kalim shei huchshuru b'chal aruchais. So the kachim kalim that you could shecht on any of the areas of the Azara, and it in shei huchshuru b'tzafim. So definitely you could shecht it on the tzafim as well. So for this that you could shecht it on the tzafim, you don't need a pasuk. But the 3 psukim that the Gemara brings is teaching me that it can be shechted in all areas of the Azara, as the Gemara will soon explain what exactly we're learning from the 3 psukim. Rabbi Eliezer says, Rabbi Eliezer agrees to the halacha, but he argues on one detail. That Kachim Kalim could be shechted on the tzafin is not learned from a Kavachaymer, because Adarabbe, as I'll say in a moment, you can make a Kavachaymer to say that you cannot shecht it in tzafin, and you need a pasuk to teach me that Kachim Kalim could be shechted in tzafin. One of these psukim here, that it says, the extra pasuk is coming to teach me that Kachim Kalim could be shechted in tzafin as well. Because otherwise, I would actually make a Kavachaymer as follows. I would think to say, V'alei I have a Kavachaymer that it cannot be shechted in tzafin. Kachim Kalim I see it can be shechted anywhere. But nevertheless, the place where the kachim kalim could be shechted does not apply to kachim. It cannot be shechted in all areas, only in Safin. So kachim, which is less, which is limited, this is karbanas that can only be shechted in Safin. And then kachim kalim. Most definitely, I should say that kachim kalim is not qualified to be shechted in the place of the kachim. So Adarab, there's a Zevochim to say that kachim kalim cannot be shechted in the tzafim. And later on here, Rashi explains what's really the logic behind this Zevochim. It's a little bit of an interesting Zevochim. Rashi says the point of this Zevochim is to say that I would think that maybe tzafim is a section in the Azara that's a higher level of kedusha, designated only for the kachim. Kachim kalim can be shechted in any other area of the Azara, but not in this unique holy place, which is a higher level designated for the kachim. So therefore, Tamad Loimar Oyel Mayit. So you need one of the psukim, the extra psukim here, to say that kachim kalim could be shechted even in the tzafan of the Azara. Okay, so the Gemara now explains, B'maikam B'fligi, what's the machlokes here between the Tanakam and Rabbi Eliezer, how I learned these three psukim in the area of shechting the kachim kalim in the Azara. Says the Gemara, Tanakam is the Tanakam's opinion here is Tlasa Kroi Ksivi. There are three psukim saying where you shech the carbon shlomim. Chad legufe. One is coming to say the halacha itself, and that is the niboi pesach hayel mayid. That when you shech the shlomim, you have to have the pesach of hayel mayid. Which what this means is, as we'll see soon in the Gemara, that when you shech the shlomim, the doors of the hayel mayid, or in this case by the Beis Hamikdash, the doors of the ulam have to be open. By the Mishkan, what it means is they would travel with the Mishkan, they would dismantle it and then put it up again. If they did not put up the Mishkan itself, even if they put up the Azara, you can't shlech the shlomim until you have the Oyel Mayid put up when the doors open. That's the first halacha. That's why it says Pesach Oyel Mayid, it has to be open. And v'chat lahachshitz dodin. And then the second pasuk is coming to say that you could shecht also on the sides. You could shecht in all the areas, also on the sides of the Beis Hamikdash. And v'chad livsol tzidei tzadin. But then a third time is coming to say that it has to be lifnei oyel mayid, has to be in an area inside the Azara, and this does not include the chambers of the Azara, the outer chambers of the Azara. That's already the sides of the side. That's not lifnei oyel mayid. Now v'tzafin lo yitzrich kra. The fact that you could shecht the kachim kalim on the tzafin as well. For that you don't need a pasuk according to the Tanakhama. That's a Zevochim. However, Rabbi Eliezer teaches these three psukim. The first, like the Tanakhama said, that it has to be in the Azara when the doors of the ulam is open. The second pasuk is coming to say that it could be done in Safin, because he holds that otherwise I would say that it's an area only designated for kachim. And the third pasuk is coming to say that even the sides of the Beis Hamikdash, you could shecht it in any area of the Azara. And to exclude that the sides, the chambers that are outside the Azara, that there you can't shecht, for that you don't need a pasuk. Why would I think that it should be able to be done there? It's already outside. For that it's not necessary to exclude it. Okay, now the Gemara explains more details here in the language of these three psukim. So why is the pasuk changing the term from Pesach to Lifnei? Answers the Gemara, Kamash Malon, Rav Yehuda Mashmul, because we learn from here what Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel. Rav Yehuda Mashmul, Shlamim, Sheshachtan, Kaidim, Sheyiftuchu, Dalsa Sahechel. You shechted the carbon inside the Azara, but it's before they opened up the doors of the Heichel. Psulin, the carbon is pasul. Shenem v'shachatu Pesach hayal mayid. It means bizman shehu pasuach. You have to shecht in a time when the door is open. But lo bizman shunol, not when the doors are locked. Et Menami, we learned this as well. Mamarok v'bachom amar Rav Yosef v'Rab Chanina shlamim sheshachtam kaim sheyiftuchu dalsas ha'heichel. If you shecht the shlamim before the doors of the heichel are open, psulin. It'll be possible. Shenema v'shachta Pesach hayal mayid bizman shepesach heichel pasuach v'loi bizman shunol. Be open and not locked. Rav Masni Hachim, Rav in the western Eretz Yisrael, they taught as follows: Amar Rav Yaakov bar Acha, Amar Rav Ashi, Shlamim sheshachtam kaidim sheyiftuchu dalsas ha'heichel. If it was shechted before the doors of the Hechel were open, psulim. This is by the Beis Hamikdash, it'll be possible. Ubemishkan, how do we translate this pasuk in the times of the Mishkan? That's kaidim sheyamidu leviim. As Hamishkan, if they were traveling and before they erected the Mishkan, or when they were leaving and they already dismantled the Mishkan, and now the Azar is still there and you want to shech the carbon, but the Mishkan is not up, psulin, it'll be possible. Now, regarding this halacha, the Gemara says, Pshite, this would be obvious that Mugaf, if the doors of the Heichal, or really the Ulam, is closed, it's not locked, but it's closed. Kanal Dami, that's the same as it's locked, it's not open. So the carbon will not be kosher. However, Vila in Mai, what if the door is open, but there's a curtain that's hung there? Even when the door is open, there's a curtain that's there in order to block, for the privacy, for the Aveda that's done inside. So is that considered open or closed? Amar Rab Zeide, so Rab Zeide says, "Hu atzma ein nase elke pesach pasuach." That itself is showing that it's really open. They're dafka opening it up, but they're putting there a curtain for the union of tznius, that it should be private inside the Aveda. But really, it's considered to be open. Another shaila, goiva mai. What if the door is open, but you have something that is high? Some kind of a mound of something or a piece of wood that's high, that's there right in front of the doorway, and it's blocking the entrance. So Rashi says, let's have a mound of something or wood, it's blocking it. Is that considered to be open or not? Toshama, so the Gemara says, it says in the Brayso as follows: the Tanya, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yudayim, Rabbi Yosef really says, Shnei pishpishin hoyu bebeis hachalifos. There's the beis hachalifos, which is the room, the area where the Kainim kept their knives for shchita. Chalaf is a knife, and so the beis hachalifos, where was this kept? This was in the ulam. The ulam is in front of the heichal. Over here I have the picture in the Rashi, right? So you see the heichal, and then in front of the heichal is the ulam. The ulam was much wider than the heichal. It actually stuck out on both sides, as Rashi says here, 15 amas. Now, in this ulam on both sides, in the back side of the ulam, facing towards Mairev, there was an opening over there, a doorway over there, and that was also the area where they would put their knives. So in that area, again, in the Mairev wall of the ulam, that's protruding on the two sides of the heichal. So over there was shnei pishpishin, two small doors high, bebeis hachalifos, and begoiva and shmeina. It's 8 amas high. Kedei lahachsher sa'azara kulo lachilas kache kachim. In order that the entire azara should be allowed to eat from kache kachim, and the l'shchitas kachim kalim, that you should be allowed to shecht kachim kalim in the entire azara. Since it has to be Pesach Hayal Mayid, and this is not only regarding the shechita as you see here, but it's also regarding eating. So therefore, there has to be an area in the azara which is open to the Pesach of the Hayal Mayid. Okay, so now, if you look in the picture here, so when you have the mizrach of the azara, the part of the azara that's in the front of the door, the entrance into the Beis HaMikdash, so that you're in an area of the azara that's in front, facing the doorway to enter. So that's the area where you could shecht. But what if you want to shecht a carbon behind, in the side of the heichal? Over there, there's no entrance, there's no Pesach Hayal Mayid there, that you should be allowed to shecht the carbon there. Right? So therefore, over there was two entrances from the back wall of the ulam, the Ma'irav wall of the ulam, that you could enter into the ulam, and that's considered to be an opening, an entrance into the heichal of the Beis HaMikdash, because the Tana of this Brayso holds that the entrance into the ulam has the same kedusha like the interior of the heichal of the Beis HaMikdash. So those two back doors of the back wall of the ulam will allow you then to eat kachim kachim in that area, and also to shecht a carbon in that area. Okay, so now the Gemara says from over here. It says here that the goivan shmeina. What does this mean that there was shnei pishpishin the goivan shmeina? At this point, the Gemara understands. My lab, don't you think that when it says here that there was a goiva shmeina, it means the ikke kamayu shmeina. That in front of these doors there was something that was placed there to block it that was high 8 amas shmeina. That's what it seems to be saying.
The door shmeina?
Again?
The door itself is shmeina.
No. So the Gemara now thinks that it's referring to something that was blocking it in front of it, that some tail, something that was high in front of it that was blocking it. I guess they didn't want this door to be available and open at all times, so they had something blocking it there that's high shmeina. And still it says that it's considered to be an opening in that area to allow you to shecht karbanis in the back, in that area. Says the Gemara, loy, it's not what it means. The gavaninu shmeina, that it itself was high 8. The doorways, these pishpishin, they had these entrances in the back wall of the ulam. The doorway was high shmeina. There was nothing blocking there. But the Gemara asks on this, Meisvei, it says in the Mishnah that Kol Hasha'arim Shahayusham, all the gates, or the entrances that there was in the Beis HaMikdash, Goivan Esram Amma Varech Ban Eser. They were high, 20 amas, and they were wide, 10. So how could Eser amas? So how could you say that when it says there that it was only 8 amas, that it refers to the actual opening, the entrance? It must be that it's not. It must be that there was some kind of a blockage there that was 8. So the Gemara says, no, Pishpish and Shani. The Pishpishin, these small entrances, it's not a regular shar. The sha'arim, the big entrances were huge. They were 20 amas tall and 10 amas wide. Here we're talking about this small entrance that there was in the back wall of the ulam. That over there, it means it was a small entrance which was only 8 amas. Okay, but now the Gemara asks on this, how would that allow you to eat or to shech the kachim kalim in every single area of the azara? Aren't there the sides of the ulam where there you're not in front of the Pesach of the Oil Mayed? What is the Gemara asking? So again, if you look into the Azara, you look at the picture, so you see the front, the Azara that's in the front of the opening of the, going into the ulam. That's, you have the doorway right over there in front of you. Then if you're on the back side of the ulam, you go behind, there's the ma'ariv wall of the ulam, so there are these 2 pishpishim, these openings, that if you shech the carbon there, you're facing the opening. But if you go at the tzafin and the darim of the actual wall of the ulam itself, the tzafin and darim wall of the ulam, and the ulam was actually 11 amas wide. So now that area of the azara, 11 amas wide, right against the tzafin wall and the darim wall of the ulam, that does not have any opening there. So how would you be allowed to shech the carbon in that area of the 11 amas corresponding to that tzafin and darim wall of the ulam? Answers the Gemara.
It's not facing Pishpishim?
No, the Pishpishim were on the back wall, on the ma'ariv wall of the ulam.
I mean in front.
But on the side of it, you still have an area where there's no opening to the Beis HaMikdash. Answers the Gemara. The ma'ayaluhu bekeren zavis. They made the openings. It wasn't in the ma'ariv wall. You see it over here in the picture. Like the openings was in the corner. So it's the opening in the corner. So you have the opening on that. It's partially faced to the ma'ariv, partially faced to the tzafin or the darim on either side, and therefore you have the opening. You can shecht in every area of the azara. Like the Gemara, how about achayre beis hakapayres, in the back of the beis hakapayres, which is the kodesh hakadoshim, all the way behind the Beis HaMikdash, all the way at the ma'ariv of the Azara, and there's 11 amas there, in that area, how are you allowed to shech the carbon there if there's no opening inside the Beis HaMikdash? We said that you can shech the carbonis anywhere in the Azara. So where's there opening there? Pesach El Mayit. Says the Gemara, Tashama, Rami Bar Rav Yehuda, Amarav, Lul Cotton Haya Achayre Beis HaKapayres. There was a small opening, a window, in the Kodesh HaKadoshim in the back, which was Gavaya Shmaina Amis, not such a small window. It was 8 amis high, Kedei Lahachshir, so Azara Lachiras Kotche Kotchim. And that window was made there for this area, that it's an opening that you can see straight into the Kodesh HaKadoshim in order to be machsher, to shach the karbanis there, or first Lachiras Kotche Kotchim, you could eat the Kotche Kotchim there, and also to shach the Kotche Kotchim in that, or Kotchim Kalam that is in that area of the Azara.
Eating and for slaughtering.
Eating the Kotche Kotchim, and slaughtering the Kotchim Kalam, correct. And the Hainu D'chsev, not such a small area. Yeah, up to 11 amas. The Hainu D'chsev, and this window is what it says in the pasuk. Shnayim la parbar. There were 2. It talks there about the guards that were guarding in different places in the openings. So it says that there were 2 that were by the la parbar. What is this parbar? My la parbar. Omerabe bar Rav Shila. Command Amma klape bar. When you say that there's an opening that goes outside, and this is the opening that went outside from the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and there were 2 people that were guarding there. Why did they make that opening there? In order to be machsher, the entire Azara to be allowed to shech the Kotchim Kalam even in that area.